You're listening to the weekly parsha podcast recorded with Hashem's never-ending assistance in Ramah Shemesh Israel 5776, 2016. This week's parsha is Parshas Terumah, and we have the beginning of a series of parshios that speak about the Hakamas HaMishkan, the creation and the erection of the Tabernacle, which would serve as a place where the Jewish people would meet God, as it were. It would serve as a place where the Jewish people would serve God, bring korbanos, bring sacrifices, be involved in the very special avodah, the service of God, as God would command the Jewish people. So, v'yichuli Terumah, very interestingly, as we start off this week's parsha, so we can't help but notice that it follows on the heels of the Sinai experience, the experience of the Jewish people, the revelation that 1.5 million Jews had at Mount Sinai, open revelation of the Jewish people, and the beginning of the receiving of the Torah. The 10 Commandments were given, as well as many other laws, the Mishpatim, which we spoke about, which we learned about in last week's parsha. When we get to this week's parsha, we need to understand what is the reason why immediately following the experience at Har Sinai, the Jewish people receive the command and begin to erect and construct the Mishkan, the Tabernacle, the place of the resting, of the abode, as it were, of the Shekhinah, of the Divine Presence. Now, as we read the following Midrash, which I'd like to share with you, we will see that it's clear from the Midrash, and this is the first Midrash on Parshas Terumah. It's the Midrash that's the introduction to the whole description, the whole command of building the tabernacle. And what does it speak about? What is the topic? The topic is Torah. The topic is that which is the relationship of God with the Jewish people, that which represents the commandments, the instructions for life, what it means to serve Hashem, what it means to be a good person, which is contained within the Torah. So clearly, from this Midrash, there is some interrelationship, interconnectedness between the Torah and the Mishkan. It's also clear from the fact that we have this connection, the placement, the way that the Torah places the Sinai experience when they receive the Torah right next to the building of the Mishkan. It's also apparent, if we think about it, from the fact that what is the center of the Mishkan? The center of the Mishkan, the Holy of Holies, contains the Aron HaBris, contains the Ark of the Covenant. And what's inside of the Ark of the Covenant? It's the Luchos HaBris, it's the 10 Commandments, and it's also the Torah, the original Torah, which Moshe Rabbeinu wrote. Those were contained within the Ark of the Covenant, and that is the center of the Mishkan. So, anytime you have something which is the center, so that is obviously what the locus of all points, right, is a circle. So, everything surrounds the Kodesh HaKadosh and the Holy of Holies. That's the point of relationship between God and the Jewish people. So the Mishkan is clearly connected to the Torah. The Torah is the center of the Mishkan. The Mishkan, the tabernacle, is the place of serving God, and its center is the Torah. So let's see together this Midrash, which speaks about the concept of the Torah, and this is the introduction to the Mishkan. So we're going to have a beautiful lead-in to the concept of the tabernacle, which we're going to read about for the next few weeks. Here's the Midrash. It says like this: V'yichuli Terumah. The beginning of the parsha says that God commands the Jewish people to take for me, to take on my behalf, as it were, a Terumah, a donation. The Jewish people are to bring all the donations, all the different aspects, all the different parts that are going to be the construction. They're going to be donated for the construction of the Mishkan. Now the Midrash learns, what is the concept? Why does it say v'yichuli Terumah? Classic question. Why does it say you shall take from me? It should say you shall bring to me. You shall come and you shall offer to me. Why does it say v'yichuli? You shall take for me a Terumah, a donation. What is the idea of taking here? Hadahu dichsiv, the Midrash explains like this. This is what the verse means when it says, Ki lekach toiv nosati lochem teirasi al tazovu. The Torah is referred to as a mekach, as something that you take, as something that you purchase, as it were, that it's something that's given to us, but we take it from God. Don't leave the Torah, says the verse. This is a verse in Mishlei in Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 2. And the Midrash says, Al ta'azevu es hamekach shenasati lachem. Do not leave this item, this thing that I'm selling you, that I've given to you, this amazing thing that I'm giving to you, which is the Torah. Don't leave it. Understand how amazing it is. Understand how beautiful it is. Understand how good it is. The verse refers to it as a lekach toiv, as a good mekach, as a good purchase, as a good thing to acquire. Yesh lecha adam. Now the Midrash speaks about the Torah. The Midrash speaks about what is this amazing mekach, this amazing thing that we receive when we get the Torah. Yesh lecha adam shelekeach mekach. You can have somebody who purchases something. Yesh by zav, ein by kesef. Ordinarily, a person buys something, it's gold. If it's gold, it doesn't have any silver in it. Yesh by kesef, ein by zahav. If it's silver, if it's a silver item, it doesn't generally have gold. Because the silver, if it's a silver item, it's silver. If it's gold, it's gold. You don't mix silver and gold, generally speaking. But this thing, this amazing thing, this good thing, the Torah, has all aspects. Yesh by kesef. It has an aspect of silver, and we'll soon see it also has an aspect of gold. How do we see that the Torah has an aspect of silver? Shenemar, as the verse says, Imreis Hashem, Imreis Tahiris. The words of God are pure words, kesef tzaruf, purified, rarefied silver. Yesh by zav, it also has an aspect of gold. Shenemar, as the verse says in Tehillim, in Psalm chapter 19, verse 11, Hanechamadim izahav umipazrov. The Torah is more dear than gold, and from amazing amounts of pure gold. So we see that there's an aspect of silver and gold in regards to the Torah. Neitz Yosef explains that these two aspects refer to two different ways of approaching two different aspects of the Torah. One is the aspect of the nigla, the revealed aspect of the Torah, and one is the aspect of the hidden aspect of the Torah. So the gold is that thing you have to dig deep for. It's the hidden aspect of the Torah. And the silver is that which comes more easily, which is the nigla, which is that which is revealed. The Midrash continues, Yesh Adam lekech sades of aloi kramim. There are people who specialize in buying fields which are meant for developing crops, but they're not necessarily involved in buying orchards. Kramim v'lei sades. There are people who are involved in buying orchards, but they won't necessarily be involved in buying fields which are for crops. When it comes to the Torah, Yesh v'sades yesh b'kramim. There's an aspect of the Torah which is comparable to a field. There's an aspect of the Torah which is comparable to an orchard. It has both aspects. Shenemar shlachayach pardes rimayim. The verse in the Song of Songs, chapter 4, verse 13, refers to the Torah as shlachayach, which the Eitz Yosef explains is like the words sada beis hashlachin, which means that it's a type of field. It's a type of field that can be used for produce, but it also refers to it as a pardes, which is an orchard. So it has both of these aspects. It has the depth. Here also, the Eitz Yosef explains that the field and the orchard are two aspects of Torah which have to do with depth and have to do with the revealed aspect, that which is more superficial. You can have someone purchasing an item, and people don't really know the value of it. It could be even the person himself who's purchasing it is not aware of how valuable it is. But you can tell by how much the agent gets, you can see by the agent's fee, the value of the item that was sold. If the agent is taking a great amount of money, clearly it has great value. Think about it. If a match is made, if there's a matchmaker, so that person gets a certain amount of money. I think the current rate is like $1,000 or $2,000 to make a match. So that shows the great value of this thing. You're setting up this couple for life. You're giving them the opportunity to have a relationship which, God willing, will last for their lifetime. It has a tremendous value, and you can tell the value of what's going on there based on the agent's fee. Kach HaTorah. So too in regards to the Torah. Ein adam yodea mahi. Person doesn't realize how valuable it is, how great it is. Elam yischar shalakach Moshe. But you can figure it out from the reward, from something that happened to Moshe and to Moses. He was the agent, as it were. He was the one who brought the Torah to the Jewish people. What does it say about him? Shenemar, after he received the Torah, brought it to the Jewish people, the verse tells us, Moshe lo yoda. Moses didn't realize, Kikaran arpanov b'dabra itoy, that as a result of having these conversations with God, bringing the Torah to the Jewish people, so there was a light that shone from his face, a light that the Jewish people couldn't even look at. It was so bright, it was so spiritual. But that was the result of his being the sorcerer, being the agent. So you see from the fact that he was imbued with this amazing spiritual light, we see the amazing power, the amazing value, the amazing goodness, the toiv, the lekach toiv. What an amazing acquiring that we have when we learn the Torah, when we receive the Torah, when we have that relationship with God through the Torah. Now here comes what I think is the most amazing part of the Midrash. Just so beautiful, so poetic. Have you ever heard of an item where when you purchase that item, the person who's selling you the item comes along with the item? Meaning you buy something and the guy who you bought it from now becomes yours, as it were? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But when it comes to the Torah, God says Yisrael, to the Jewish people, Macharti lachem tarasi, kiviyachal nimkarti imoi. I have given you, I've sold to you, as it were, my Torah. But I am being purchased along with the Torah. You are receiving the Torah. Not only do you receive the Torah, but God comes along with the Torah, as it were. Shenemar, as the verse says, V'yikchu li truma. And you will take, so ordinarily we understand it to mean you will take for me a truma, you will take for me a donation. But the Midrash is understanding the verse to mean, V'yikchu li, and you take me with your truma. When you donate, as it were, to the Mishkan, when you give something and you purchase, as it were, the Torah, which is the center of the Mishkan, you purchase that relationship with God, God comes along with it. When you receive the Torah, God comes along with the Torah. Mashal HaMelech. It's an analogy. We can compare this to a king, Shehaisele Bas Yechida, who had an only daughter. One of the kings came along and he said, I want to marry your daughter. So he marries her. He wants to go back to his land. He wants to go back to his home. He wants to take his wife with him. The king says to him, the king who it was his daughter says, this daughter that you married her, which with my full consent, but this is my own daughter. The fresh man and I can't leave her. I can't separate from her. I can't tell you not to take her with you because she's your wife. Just do me a favor, okay? Wherever you go, make a little room for me, so that I can come and visit. I just can't give up my daughter. I can't. She's too precious to me. This is what Hashem says, what God says to the people of Israel. Nasati lachem es haTorah. I have given you this Torah. That's my daughter, as it were. The Torah is so precious to me, I can't separate myself from it. I can't tell you not to take her. I can't tell you not to take the Torah. But what I need you to do is, wherever you go, make a house for me, so that I can live there. Make a place for me to live, a place for me to dwell, as it were, a place for me to place my divine presence. And that goes alongside the Torah. Amazing, beautiful Midrash. When we receive the Torah, we receive God. And there's a command, implicit, as the Midrash understands. And that's what the Torah is saying, V'yikchu li truma, that there's a taking here. There's a taking. The receiving here. When I give to the Mishkan, when I'm recognizing that I need to create a Mishkan, I need to create a home, a place to connect to God, a home for God's divine presence, what I'm recognizing is that the Torah, which is the center of the Mishkan, the center of the Tabernacle, the center of my relationship with God, the Torah is what I need to receive. There's a v'yikhuli. I take the Torah. And when I take the Torah, I take to myself God. Because God comes alongside the Torah. It's a circle. It's a never-ending circle. I need to build this Mishkan. I need to create a place for God to come in. And I need to create it by receiving the Torah. When I receive the Torah, God comes with it. And then again, I need to create a place for God to come in. And again, I need to receive the Torah. And again, God comes with it. It's a circle of spirituality. It's a cycle of rising and coming into a deeper and deeper relationship with Hashem, with God. Now, when we look at the Midrash, we look at the mashal, the analogy of the Midrash, the Torah is referred to as the daughter, the only daughter of the king. And what does that mean? If you think about it, who is that? You imagine the princess, the only princess of the king. Who is that woman? Who is she? And when a king comes and takes her, another king from a different land comes and takes her, what is he doing? The daughter, anyone's daughter, is a reflection of the parents. If it's an only child, if it's an only daughter, it's a precious daughter. So the parents have invested all of their koiches, all of their efforts, all of their energy into that child, into that daughter. So the Torah is that place where God has placed all of his energy. And if you think about it, a daughter will reflect. She has the genetic code of the parents. And she's been raised in the home of those parents. The princess is somebody who is so fine, so beautiful, so refined. She has developed all of those qualities which she's seen in the palace from her parents, from the king, from the queen. And so she reflects the most who the parents are. The Torah is that which reflects God's will in the world. When we keep the Torah, when we try to understand the Torah, when we try to follow the dictates of the Torah, the commandments of the Torah, what we're really doing is we are marrying, as it were, the princess. We are receiving the king himself as well, because the princess really is a reflection of the king. And so the Torah is a reflection of God himself, as it were. Right? We find Chazal tell us, our sages tell us, the Zohar says, Yisrael v'yraisa v'kudsha b'richu chadu. There's an aspect of the Jewish people, there's an aspect of the Torah, and there's an aspect of God himself, which are all one. And what that means at its essence is that in spiritual terms, this is very deep, this is very important, you say, it's an amazing foundational concept, that in spiritual terms, if we want to talk about coming close to God, we want to talk about having a relationship with God, we want to talk about leading a spiritual life. What does that mean? It means reflecting God. It means reflecting the ways of God. As our Chazal, as our sages tell us, we're put on this earth to go in the ways of God. Mahu rachum afatar rachum. Mahu chanun afatah chanun. Just like God is merciful, we also are instructed to be merciful. And to the extent that we reflect and that we imitate God, as it were, we become more and more like God. We become closer and closer to God. In spiritual terms, in the spiritual realms, the more two things are alike, the closer they are. Because in the physical world, you can be close to something that's not like you because you can stand right next to them in proximity. But in the spiritual realms, there's no space. So what makes two things close is the degree that they are similar. The more that we follow the dictates of the Torah, and the Torah itself is a reflection of who Hashem is, who is the one who gave us the Torah. It's the princess who reflects all of the things that the princess has learned in the palace. The Torah is that princess, and we are the kings. We are the princes who have come to marry the princess. We are the ones who have come to develop a relationship with that princess, to try to take on and gain from all that the princess represents, to grow from that, and to be more and more like her father, like the king, like God himself, as it were. And that's the promise here of this Midrash. The promise is that if I am willing to appreciate the beauty, the silver, the gold, all the different aspects of the field and the orchard of the Torah, if I can recognize how amazingly powerful the Torah is, even by the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu himself was the agent to bring the Torah, the light that shone forth from him as a result of that, I can recognize the amazing light of the Torah. If I can recognize how amazing and beautiful it is, Ki lekach toiv nosati lachem, toirasi al tazovu. Don't leave, the Midrash says, don't leave that amazing thing that you've received. Recognize how good it is. Recognize how beautiful it is, because when you recognize how good it is, you get v'yikhu li Terumah. You get God along with it. God comes and says, I want you to make me a place to be with you. I want you to make me a place that I can come and visit my daughter, as it were. I can't separate myself from this daughter. So if you have married my daughter, if you have desired and come into a relationship with my Torah, Hashem says, then you're going to have me as well. I'm going to come alongside the Torah. You will, as a matter of course, have a relationship with me. You know, as we read all of these parshas, the Mishkan, the Tabernacle, there's so many details, so many different kelim, the vessels, the structure itself, all of these different aspects. We can get lost in the details, but it's so important. How do we not get lost in the details? By focusing on, as we said at the beginning, what is the center of the Mishkan? The center is the Torah. It's the relationship with Hashem. It's the opportunity to make ourselves more and more like Hashem, more and more compassionate, more and more good, more and more refined, more and more perfected. It's very clear by now that the reason that the Mishkan, the command to build a Mishkan, to create this place, follows the story of Har Sinai, of the revelation at Mount Sinai, of the giving of the Torah, the mishpatim of the laws. Because once we've received the Torah, once we receive this commandment, once we've entered into a relationship with Hashem, we have become the Kala, we have become the bride of the Torah, we've come into a relationship with the Torah. So what follows immediately is the Mishkan, is the place for God to reside in our midst, on ourselves, through the Torah. I want to bless you, and please bless me back. Hashem should help us to develop that relationship with the Torah, to develop that desire to become more spiritual, to learn from the ways of the Torah, from the beauty of the Torah, from the chesed, the kindness which is contained within the Torah, to understand more and more who is this princess, which is the Torah, how beautiful and how well-rounded and how refined it is. Hashem should help us to see that. Hashem should help us to develop that relationship, and in so doing, Hashem should help us to make ourselves and our homes and our Batei Knesses, our synagogues, a place for a true dwelling of Hashem's divine presence. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos. This podcast was made possible through the gracious donations of listeners like you. For more podcasts like this, please visit www.arigoldwag.com or search on iTunes Ari Goldwag.